What have the BRICS actually accomplished? We often get this question, so let's get straight to it. You have heard the headlines. BRICS is growing, they are expanding, they want to challenge the dollar. But here is the real question. What have they actually accomplished? Not in theory, in practice. Is this just political noise, or are they quietly reshaping the global order? Today we are breaking that down with real numbers, real impact, and undeniable facts about how BRICS is changing the world right now. This video is based on official research presented at the Kazan summit by the BRICS Expert Council with the support of the BRICS Think Tanks Council. If you want details and specific numbers, you can download it in the link in the description. Let's start with the foundation. How BRICS is doing something the West can't. Unlike G7 or NATO, BRICS isn't about dominance. There is no lead country, no enforcement power, no shared military. It's a collaboration of equals. China is the economic heavyweight, sure. In 2022, it made up 69% of BRICS GDP, but that doesn't mean it runs the show. Every country has equal decision-making power. That's built into the structure. There is no hegemon approach is part of what makes BRICS so attractive, especially to countries in the global south who are tired of being told what to do by the West. In 2023 alone, over 30 countries applied to join BRICS. That led to the group's biggest expansion yet. The message is clear: countries want an alternative, one that respects sovereignty, not dominance. And BRICS is delivering that. But here is something you might be wondering. If BRICS is making such big moves, why don't we hear more about it? Why aren't these achievements front-page news? The truth is simple. Mainstream media often shows a narrow slice of the BRICS story. They focus on political tension, conflicts, disagreements, drama, not collaboration, not real results. Many of BRICS' biggest developments go unreported, or they're framed with bias. That leaves most people with only half the picture, and often it's the wrong half. You have probably noticed how fast digital news spreads and how hard it is to know who to trust. The internet has become the main battleground, overshadowing traditional newspapers and TV. Everyone worldwide needs unbiased media coverage, not just BRICS citizens. This brings us to our proud sponsor, Ground News. We use it constantly to deliver neutral coverage you can trust. Ground News gives you access to over 50,000 sources globally. It doesn't just report news, it maps media biases and compares coverage angles. Their tools help you spot bias using ratings from trusted organizations. You will discover reporting blind spots through their special blind spot feed. See how stories are framed across the entire spectrum of media voices. Over 2 million people use Ground News now. Is your chance to join them. Our viewers get 40% off their Vantage plan for just $5 a month for unlimited access to every feature. Those subscriptions help keep Ground News ad-free and therefore free of any bias that comes with paid advertising. Check the description, click on this QR code, or go to ground.news/thinkbricks to get 40% off and support Ground News. In a world of competing narratives, seeing critically is the first step to thinking critically. Let's talk about something concrete, and I mean literally concrete. In 2014, BRICS launched the New Development Bank, headquartered in Shanghai. Not a think tank, not a panel, a bank. With $50 billion in startup capital and a mandate to fund infrastructure, clean energy, and sustainable development across its member states. As of 2023, this bank had already approved over $32 billion in loans for more than 90 real-world projects. In India, metro rail systems and rural road upgrades. In Brazil, renewable energy plants. In South Africa, sustainable water and sanitation systems. These aren't handouts, they are investments decided by a board where no single country has veto power. Unlike the IMF or World Bank, the NDB doesn't tie funding to Western politics. It's built on a different model. equal ownership, shared interests. And if that's not enough, they're expanding. Bangladesh, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, and Uruguay have already joined as new members. In 2025, Indonesia joined the board, and others are lining up. Ethiopia is the first in line. This isn't just a bank, it's an institution built from the ground up, challenging 70 years of Western financial dominance. Now let's talk money. Not who has it, but what it's denominated in. Because BRICS is also making moves to loosen the dollar's grip on global trade. In 2023, Brazil and China made a deal to trade in yuan and reals, skipping the dollar altogether. Russia and China already setting more than 90% of their bilateral trade in rubles and yuan. They have also launched the Contingent Reserve Arrangement, a $100 billion fund designed to protect members from currency shocks, the kind that used to send small economies into IMF bailouts. This isn't a protest, it's a pivot. One deal at a time, BRICS is showing the world that you don't need dollars to do business. It's not loud, but it's deliberate. And it's gaining traction. But BRICS isn't just building banks and balancing currencies. It's making political moves too. Inside the United Nations, BRICS nations are starting to vote as a bloc, challenging resolutions, pushing reforms, and supporting each other in ways that echo traditional power alliances. In the G20, they have pushed for changes to IMF voting shares, where the United States still holds a built-in veto. They are calling out double standards, demanding multipolarity, a world where power isn't monopolized by a single system or set of values. That word, multipolar, comes up again and again in BRICS documents. It's not just a jargon, it's a strategy, a message. No more unipolar dominance. No more rules made in Washington, rubber-stamped everywhere else. BRICS is playing long-term, and it's starting to work. Food security is becoming a top priority for BRICS. It's not just about feeding their own populations, it's about building resilience and reducing reliance on unstable global markets. The BRICS Agricultural Cooperation Action Plan 2021 to 2024 is central to that mission. The goal? Accelerate agricultural development, strengthen the capacity to feed millions, and make food systems more self-reliant. One standout proposal is the creation of a BRICS grain exchange. We made several videos about these topics, found them on our channel. This initiative would provide a stable platform for trading key grains across member nations. It would also reduce dependency on Western-dominated commodity markets. The idea was first introduced under Russia's chairmanship. It's formally recognized in the Kazan Declaration. The numbers make the case even stronger. Together, BRICS countries produce a massive share of the world's grain, wheat, and corn. Some members, like India, Brazil, and Russia, are net exporters. Others, including UAE and Saudi Arabia and Egypt, depend heavily on imports. That contrast makes internal trade even more vital. Strengthening agricultural links across BRICS could ease supply shocks. It could also provide a buffer against future global food crises. There is even talk of a joint food security fund that would let members coordinate emergency reserves, stabilize prices, and support vulnerable populations. In short, BRICS isn't just thinking about food, it's thinking ahead. Now let's zoom in on something most people never see coming: science and technology. In 2015, BRICS launched the STI Framework Program, funding joint research in AI, medicine, climate science, and space. They have built the BRICS Network University, linking dozens of top institutions across the 5 countries to share curricula, research, and innovation. And in 2022, they even launched a joint satellite program, combining remote sensing data to track environmental change, improve disaster response, and boost agricultural efficiency. Most people think BRICS is all politics and trade, but behind the scenes, they are sciencing up their scientific future. One fiber optic cable, one lab partnership, one satellite at a time. Still think this is just about 5 countries? Think again. In 2023, BRICS expanded with 4 new entries: Ethiopia, Iran, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia was also formally invited, but it chose not to fully engage with the group, at least for now. In 2024, the expansion grew even larger. BRICS introduced a new format called the BRICS Partner Belt. Now Indonesia has joined as a full member, and new partner countries include Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Uganda, and Uzbekistan. That's a massive shift, geographically, economically, politically. It extends BRICS deep into Latin America, the Middle East, and East Africa. With this expansion, BRICS Plus now represents more than half of the world's population, and by 2025, when you include both members and partners, BRICS accounts for roughly 41 to 46% of global GDP. But it's not just size, it's speed. BRICS nations are growing faster than the global average. Their combined GDP is projected to grow 3.4% in 2025, compared to a world average of just 2.8%. This isn't a club anymore, it's a coalition, with one reach, with momentum, and with real rising global appeal. Now here is where things get even more interesting. Despite internal tensions, and let's be real, there are plenty of them, BRICS hasn't cracked. India and China have border disputes, but found a way to discuss them at the summit in Kazan. Russia, Iran, and Cuba are under sanctions. Brazil and South Africa have widely different economic trajectories, and yet the meetings keep happening, the reports keep coming, the development projects keep rolling out. In 2021, they even agreed on a shared counter-terrorism strategy, a rare alignment in a group this diverse. Where others splinter, BRICS adapts. Because here is the thing, they are not trying to become one superstate. They are not the European Union. They are building parallel infrastructure, not uniform identity. And that might be exactly why it is working. So what have the BRICS achieved so far? They have built a real bank, they have shifted billions in trade out of the dollar, they have influenced policy at the world's most powerful institutions. They have launched satellites, funded science, and brought new nations into the fold. And they have done it all without the world watching too closely until now. Is BRICS perfect? No. Is it unified? Not always. But is it working? Absolutely. And in a world where trust in old institutions is fading fast, BRICS is offering a new blueprint. Different values, different centers of power, same ambition. Shape the future. If you found this eye-opening, you are not alone, because what BRICS has done, quietly, steadily, effectively, might be one of the biggest geopolitical shifts of the 21st century. And they're just getting started. So stay tuned, because the next decade might not look anything like the last. Thanks for watching.